work with to get much accomplished. With a two-bottom plow, you weren't doing anything, or one bottom even. And so we were in the gang plows and packers for soil conservation and all that. We kept up with things and gradually turned into grassland.
Okay, the soil conservation and stuff. I mean, nobody thought of soil conservation back then, really. How come you were into soil conservation? Was that because of the experience of farming over in England?
Ralph had gone for a million and was interested in Ralph was always interested in the farm extent and listening to lectures and so on, meetings, that we would have for machinery. We got Ron Weeder to kill up weeds and hadn't started on the chemicals yet, really, only a small extent. And so we were ahead of the game a little bit in watching things. We got packers to conserve the soil moisture. We plowed and threw a packer, and we kept the moisture because we knew we had to. And we drilled in and harrowed once over and didn't dry it out anymore. And
Cindy, come here.
we found
Cindy,
out,
come here. Cindy.
we found out that in the dry years we could raise green feed on summer thaw instead of wheat. We knew we had feed. If you grew it otherwise by an old land and no moisture, they're cutting green feed about so high, which was nothing. We were getting green feed this tall, and bulk we were getting it wasn't the best. It was feed. So I'd say we did it better than lots of people because we were really keen on it.
So how many horses? Back to the horses again. Like how many horses would you have had at one time, including like you had your horses for pulling the carriage and the work horses and that sort of stuff? How many horses at one time would you have?
Carriage horses were our being as we got the cars. Although we had the one or two horses and a pony. In the meantime, till that faded out, the horses died. The carriage horses died. Called carriage horses they were. And no, we had four work horses to start with. You might say farming, and then there was the team that took the milk to dairy, and eight horses. And Dad would come back and harrow. And Ralph, you might say up to 8 horses.
Okay, but this is 1935 we're talking about.
Well, if this happened in the years before that, we 8 horses and a pony. Probably that was the extent of the horses. And we started raising horses by we bought 1 or 2 more horses because we weren't raising any, as you might see, until we got in supplying our own supply. Well, the first colt we raised was a bummer because it got lung fever or something, and it couldn't even pull an ounce by the time it got big enough to use. So it died finally. And so we we had horses coming on regularly. Although when we got up to 3 outfits, we still had to buy the 1 or 2 horses to make sure.
Okay, so you said a little earlier that 1942, when gas became short supply, horses started to come back into use again. But you had never stopped using horses then?
No.
Okay. No. All right. So, like, how many? Like you said, 17 horses you had one time.
That work horses was probably along with that was probably 2, 3, or 4 colts.
Okay. So, like the gang plow you're talking about, how many horses would be pulling? What was the biggest pull you had?
Usually 5 because we had big horses, and we put in long days. And
so was that 5 abreast?
No, we worked tandem always.
Okay.
It wasn't practical. It was crazy. This way, let's see. It wasn't practical. And then we put the packers behind by using 6 horses with the chain hitch. And if you didn't use that hitch, they put the 5 bigger horses on the plow of the packer. It was running 2 poles.
How many bottoms on the plow?
2 bottoms.
With pulled by 5 horses?
5 or 6 horses.
I see. Okay.
We could have got away with, but when we were going steady all day, we put 6 on them.
Okay.
Because we used them.
All right. So, all right, farming full blast. I mean, you and Ralph are farming the home place. Uncle George is farming his place. Is Uncle George working by himself? Like he got married in 1930 or whatever it is?
Well, the first year we were exchanging work back and forth.
Okay.
He needed extra help there, he went up there, and this sort of thing, to make things move. And we did some harvest together, some stooking. George had a hired man, why, and he got caught up by, come down and help the stooking, because that was a big farm, and we hired stookers wherever we could.
So was Uncle George running dairy as well up there pretty much?
Not to start, well, about, you only had about 4 or 5 cows. We gradually worked into a dairy herd.
Okay. So what was he farming then? Was he
Quarter section.
And was that grain mostly that he was doing then?
Meat and pasture.
I see.
And as he increased his herd, he gradually was doing less grain. And I don't think he really hired any extra land. No, it wasn't available.
I see. Okay. All right. So now getting closer to 1940, you're still working. Nothing has changed really in the 1930s. You're still working for Uncle Ralph.
Yeah.
And you increased the size of the farm, not by acreage wise, but by what you were doing on it, right?
Because in 42 I bought the extra quarter, but I still run the quarter section with his horses and machinery. I bought some machinery myself. But I mean, as far as that goes, we were running 3 outfits and running it all together.
Okay. So then in 1942, you bought the quarter that we lived on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the quarter that was across the road. How did you acquire that?
I rented that from Dad and on shares.
So Ralph didn't buy that. Uncle Ralph didn't buy that when he took over the farm.
He got 215 acres.
The home quarter, the home.
Yeah, the home and the fraction.
Right. Okay. All right. So you bought in 1942. You bought where we farmed at, and you rented the other quarter from from your dad.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell us how you got started there. I mean, up to 1942, you were working for Uncle Ralph.
Well, I bought the farm, and I had one horse to come with the farm, and I had a chore getting any machinery. I went to Alberta College because I wasn't very healthy about that time. In the meantime, I was laid up for years because I got hurt.
Okay, now tell us about that. What was this accident?
Accident? Well, late the fall of 1936, we cleaned the horse barn out with the driving tools of the manure spreader. The manure spreader was at the end of the driveway. The horse was just outside the door, and I was cleaning up alongside. And Bob Bilter got to come along going to school. He was working for us that winter, boarding there and going to school, helping with the milking. And he stopped in on his bicycle, so I walked back to the other end and talked to him for half a minute. Turned around, he went off on his bike, I turned this way and saw the horses were outside moving a little bit. So I stepped in to pull the lines, which was tied around the lever there. And the minute I stepped in, they tightened enough and caught me just as I was moving by the door jamb. And there I was. There's this little toolbox on the corner there. I couldn't back up because the toolbox caught me. Jammed here at the front corner, and that was it for a minute or two.
So what, you were, the manure spreader had you squeezed between the door jamb and...
tight there, and as soon as the team felt the fairly young horses, they weren't young horses, they were young, and as soon as they felt the pull against the door jamb, they dug in and pulled, and they could pull 3 ton and nothing flat. And that happened for about, I don't know, 1 second. Ralph came in the barn, and just got outside and pulled the horses back enough for me to loosen me up, and pulled the manure spreader out.
I see. So, okay, what happened to you?
I fell to the ground, but I walked that far, about 20 feet out.
Okay, what was busted?
Triple fracture of the big arch bone there, what do you call it? Pelvic arch. So I was in the hospital for 6 weeks. In the hospital for 3 weeks. The mother decided that she could take care of me at home, so I came home and it was about 20 below, in the back of the car, on a mattress.
I see.
No, Ralph carried me to the house. You've heard the story before.
No, I haven't.
Well, Hey, Ralph tied his heat up and came over and picked me up, carried me to the house, put me on the couch. And I got sick to the stomach. And I knew I was hurt. So they called him over, got Keelan, he drove out and took a look at me and said, there's two things I can do. He said, I can wrap you up in a sheet and you can stay there and see what happens. Because he found it on me and he said, that's one way. But he says, I think I would rather take you in and have x-rays and find out exactly what happened. Because had Ralph put my pants on, and right here in the front was a hole about 8 of an inch through, cut right through my overalls, right through my shirt and underwear. There's wool underwear, and here that had cut the fabric, the hole right through. And he couldn't put it wasn't until the next day after I got the cast on. Well, he put the cast on that night. And the next day they come along, him and the doctor, and it bled a little bit, but not much. He put a pad on there, there was blood on there. And he said, you gotta look at that. So he gets the scalpel out, the resident doctor did. Cut a hole in me through this much cast plaster and took his prod out. He reached it about that far, that deep in my stomach. And no more bleeding, because he put pads in there, and that was it.
Well, what had punctured you?
They never found out. He looked over the barn, looked over my overalls, he looked over my pants to see what might have been in pants. Never found out what did to it. We don't know.
So how long were you out of commission then?
6 weeks before they got the cast off. And he walked me around the kitchen, my shirt tails, to see if I could walk. And that was fine, I could walk. He took the cast was on from here up to here, so I couldn't move. I didn't move. Finally, I could move my legs a bit the last couple of weeks, I guess, a little bit, but still I was flat on my back and ate on my meals flat on my back. I slept on my back.
So were there any long-lasting effects from that?
10 years. Pain. I never went to sleep without aching. And the only thing that made me move, there was no therapy in those days, so as soon as I could walk in the spring, I started with the horses, and I guess I know before that, so I could walk around, but I could only walk. And I couldn't run, because I tried to run, I couldn't run. I couldn't move faster than a walk. And all the way I got out the field was hanging on the lines. As soon as I got on the plow, well, I was fine. But I never walked off the plow. I could ride all day.
Dad, you were a fair age at that time. What sort of fees were involved with the hospitalization, the operation, the cast? Do you remember?
$50 for the hospital, I think, and $50 for the doctor.
Okay.
And plus that, I think, as soon as I was working on next year, you can pay that off. I need some, he was feeding sheep down there in the White Mud Valley.
Who was?
Keeler had a farm down there.
Oh, the doctor.
Yeah, Hoppy. And he had an elevator down there, so I went to the elevator their side, and they loaded up a whole load of screenings. The sheep would eat the screenings, you see, everything. Didn't have to grind them even. And so I hauled that down, and he gave me $10 for hauling that down there. I mean, it was way down there. It was quite a trip down there. I wasn't doing anything else. I ride the wagon in and all that far.
So which hospital was it? Was that the University Hospital?
No, General.
General.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
I think it was 2, 4, 6, 8. I was in the ward.
Right.
The nurse went up for bottles, brought a whole dishpan. 1, 2, 3, 4, yep. Well, that's a big pan with a cloth holder over it. a bottle to pee into.
Oh,
And it was 2 days before they get I was the first night after they put the cast on. That was murder, because I think they must have run a steel underneath the X-ray lights. I think they must have had a narrow steel plate. That's it. I couldn't see it. It run under, right under my backbone, and then they started wrapping, pasting on, and that'd be there for 2 hours for it to dry. My nurse come along, she'd flash some lights to dry. A pair of pants, cast iron pants, clear up to here, about that thick. Cheesecloth pad, plaster on plaster. And the murder was going in and having the X-ray. Ralph carried me, we had fitted in 34 we got the Dodge car, and we made the back of the front seat hidden so we could make a bed seat out of it. So we put a mattress in there, and he shoved me on that. Got me out of there onto the stretcher, and then on the blasted X-ray. And the X-ray, I kind of half stuck the X-ray. I don't know why I didn't put a sheet on or something, but that was murder. Shoving me over on the X-ray, getting back down into the hospital ward again.
Yeah.
And then up to the X-ray again. And the next morning, I guess, I went to the bathroom. They tried to set me on a blasted bed pad. Well, I was strong enough. I could hang on to the railing. I could do anything because I was strong. I could do anything.
Yeah.
By the time I finished 6 weeks, I was weak as a cat.
Yeah.
But there again, I don't think you want the whole details, do you?
Why not?
Well, that night, my body was, I vomited in the morning, so I had nothing in me really. I hadn't eaten anything, and my breakfast was that I hadn't eaten anything. And I started to get gas and tight. Believe it or not, I had read of a similar accident of a guy out in Vancouver here that where they put a cast on him, and they had placed towels in to allow for the expansion. Because you're just wrapped tight.
Yeah.
I said, would you put a pad in there to allow for expansion? Well, they hadn't thought, so they put a whole pad in like that.
Huh?
Well, but the next morning, late afternoon, I guess, I started to have gas. And I got so tight, I was just in agony. Isabel was see if she could hold him, so she'd come up the trainer bus, I don't know which, and come over and see me. And I told her, I'm in agony. She said, and the only way I can ease it off is through, you might say, yell, you let it out with a sound, to let it out slowly. So she phoned Keeler up and he came over right away. Oh, he says, I'll give him a Puritan, that's the name. And I was so played out. I closed my eyes. Oh, she's going to sleep already. I wasn't asleep yet. I was finished. I was finished, really, you know. And that took it well. But I guess that morning, I was sick to the stomach. And believe it or not, the poor nurse came along to bend over me to do something. And I said, I'm going to get sick. She said, turn your head. I couldn't turn my head. I was so sore, I couldn't turn my head and bound up in this thing. I couldn't turn my head, so I went all over her uniform.
Yeah. That's her fault. She wasn't very fast.
Well, she didn't know what was happening. And she didn't know. I didn't know why, because I couldn't turn.
Yeah.
I blew it out in her face, you might say.
Yeah.
It's kind of a nasty thing to do, but so I was really sick. My stomach was paralyzed. And couldn't pass the thing out anywhere.
Okay, so back into the late 30s now, and you're getting ready to buy a farm.
No, I shouldn't finish that up.
Okay.
Halfway through for 6 weeks, my mother said, well, why can't you come home? And because they built a Bradford frame on me that night. They got the the pipes downstairs, and the canvas stretched across, so let a section out so you go to the bathroom. And another guy in the one man male nurse. So he was trying to put together. The old guy was in a bed there. He was out around the bed, and he'd seen it done before. So the two of them laced this whole thing together. I mean, they fed the pipe together, laced the whole canvas thing together, and propped it up, put it on the bed, on top of the bed frame. The front of the bed frame is that high, the foot is that high. So they laced it on there. It would be like this. And about half an hour sliding down on that and just pressing on everything there. Painful as all get out. Can't you prop it up? So the nurse, the other guy got around and first put some books on these. Piled up books. So finally, by the next morning, I guess they found some blocks down in their storeroom. So it brought it up just about even. The old nurse in charge there, a nun, came next day afternoon. She said, "My boy, that's awful looking. Take those blocks." Told her, "Take the blocks." I said, "That looks terrible in the ward here. These blocks in there." That's who were skull that had to be there. And he had to be there. And there was another fellow across the ward had a broken back, and I guess they propped him or Tom on it, so he was level. I don't know. And so that was taken care of. But and so they hung the sheet on the side, and that's where they put the bed pan underneath the room with the bed pan.
Right.
Yeah. And believe it or not, there was only one nurse come in at night that knew how to tuck my feet in, that kept my feet comfortable. In the daytime, they were hanging on my toes.
Was that the last time that you went for 6 weeks without having your long wool underwear on for that period of time?
Oh, I almost took it off in the spring. Ralph wore his wool underwear, or half wool, you might say, the first hot day. It was probably a morning or something, the 1st of July, over on the north side, next to our road, you know. The next fall, we come on, there's some Ralph's underwear hanging on a willow bush. Actual fact.
Okay, late 30s now, Second World War started, and you're still working at home, on the home place. When did you rent the other quarter from your dad? In 1942, when you bought the other quarter?
No, I rented it and used the equipment that Ralph and I did. That was part of the bargain. I got $500 a year, and I used the equipment. We worked together on the other.
So when did you make the deal to rent that quarter then? For your dad? Like what year did?
Oh, I guess it was that same year, because I was hurt. I was out in the winter, the whole winter.
So 36, 37, somewhere around there.
2036, so by next spring, I was fit to go out and help work.
Okay, and so you rented that quarter in 37.
If that, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
About 100 and whatever it was.
Yeah,
was the full quarter.
Okay. So now we're coming up to 1940. The Second World War is getting started. What kind of memories do you have of the start of the Second World War? Like what effect it had here, you know, with the Briggs family and the city and the province and that sort of thing?
Well, everybody of age group was had to register. I was registered, and you had to go in and get a doctor's certificate to give you before you went to the registration hall, and everybody had to have a doctor's. No, I guess you had to have a doctor's certificate before you went to the hall to register. Old doctor looked at me and he says, "Bend over left." I said, "That's fine." Bend over. He says, "Bend right." I got about that far. Oh, he says, "You're F." Don't worry about it. You're on the farm and you're F. And so I got the registration. I think I get my certificate. Yeah, I believe you had to carry that in your wallet
Yeah.
the rest of the time.
That was when they had conscription.
No, that was registration.
Registration, okay.
And they didn't work in the conscription really until they needed to.
Okay.
They were running short of people, of those who hadn't joined up, and so they put conscription into effect. And not necessarily had to go to the Archon. Was the was conscripted, yeah. But he never went overseas. He was in the workforce and he spent all the time, I think, out at Prince Rupert. Yard duty out there until the jobs coming down, so. Well, he's in the city for quite a while, and went out there.
So was there, when did you start to notice effects of the war here in Alberta? Like you said early on about the horses, that by 1942 the shortage of gas horses were starting to come back.
Right away they put on meat rations on meat and jams, jellies, and of course the milk didn't bother us.
So did that
remember in the city having milk rations? I don't think so. I think it was meat mostly and jams and jellies and sugar, I believe.
Okay. So on the farm where you were pretty much self-sufficient, did you notice any shortages for you guys?
No, we had chickens in there and our own pork. As soon as I moved over on my own, I had to use rations because I hired a housekeeper with about 3 children to come over there the first year, and I stayed over there part-time doing the farming, and otherwise I went back home and was working with Ralph partly then yet. And so we were on rations then.
So was the business of farming any better because of the shortages of the meat and that sort of thing? Like, did beef prices go up, milk prices go up?
Grain prices never really went up. They finally climbed up to roughly, as I recall, for wheat was probably about 45 cents. But by the end of the war or later, it was up to 55 cents. So it didn't allow grain to go up one bit. Not a bit.
But like beef and milk and butter and like produce and that sort of thing, was that good business for farming?
No, they held the price. They froze the prices
Okay.
almost that, yeah. So no, you didn't get any worse.
All right. Okay, so in 1942 you bought the other quarter and you moved over there. When did you start living there full time?
Well, I went over there and taken over that spring. I went to Alberta College for 1 month, about 3 months, because I had something wrong with me. I could have been chronic fatigue syndrome also, because I just had no strength.
And what year was that?
43 probably. And so I was all darn.
So who farmed your land when you were doing that then?
No, I didn't quit farming. So I went in there and so I was feeling better. I went to the chiropractor and got things straightened out, exercised, I skated and got through it. I got my full strength back up to a point, and then I gave up the idea. Well, I thought, well, I'm going to farm, so I arranged to buy a tractor. You had to buy up to you had to get a permit to get a tractor. I got the tractor. I had to go over a fight to get a plow. I had to go over a fight to get a set of discs. Well, I had to have them discs.
Go fight where?
Huh?
Go fight with who?
Over somebody in charge of the whole setup of releasing any farm machinery. You had to get a permit to get a machine, and if you could get it, well, you had it to approval, then you had to start looking for your machine. So I finally got a John Deere tractor on the south side.
What year did you buy the John Deere?
Well, that'd be the spring I went to, that'd be
43.
43, I guess, yeah. No, later than that. 40. I have to look up the years and all that when I did that.
Okay.
But, so I surely get the machinery. I told the guys, I got 1 horse. That's all I got. I've got the half sex of land roughly. What am I going to do? The guy's name was Trimble. He had been an old machinery agent, so he knew the story of machines and so on. So I finally got the tractor, got the plow, and finally got a drill. No, I had the drills come with the farm actually. A little old plow, I traded it in on the plow I got.
So what tractor did you get? Was that when you got the D?
Model D,
So that's the same D that
yeah.
we grew up with, or had.
And they had rubber tractors out, they had John Deere the 2 years before that. You couldn't get any more rubber-tired tractors, right? In some cases, they confiscated rubber-tired tractors and confiscated any, what do you call them, P-track, track tractors.
Okay.
They had some nice small ones out, and a few people had bought them, they were useful, but they confiscated those.
Yeah. So how much did you pay for the D?
$1,450.
That was a lot of money then, huh?
Yeah. But I had enough to do that.
Yeah.
That's boring.
So how many horses did the D replace?
Well, it was what I bought. I bought a team from Ralph, and he's cutting down his horses, because he was getting a tractor, yes. Did he have a tractor? No, I don't know what he got this. After I had the D. Anyway, so he had taken some horses over to the horse sale, and the horse sale was no good over the exhibition grounds there. And so I bought a Biddy and the mare that he'd taken over. And that's the one that had top set.
I see. So since you got the D, I mean, you only had one horse. I mean, how many horses did the D replace? I mean, if you didn't have that D tractor, how many horses would you have to do the work of that tractor?
I had to have 4 horses, because I knew he couldn't drill with the D, or harrow with the D, so I got 4 horses, and I accumulated 4 horses. I got King and Dawson. You remember King? I think.
Yeah.
You see his picture anyway.
Yeah.
So I had those 2, and bought 2 more, I guess.
Okay, but you still haven't answered my question. I mean, if you didn't have that D tractor, how many horses would you have had to have? I mean,
well, I would have
how efficient was the D compared to horses?
I wouldn't have been able to handle it without a tractor.
Okay.
Because 1 horse, the team wouldn't have handled it.
Okay.
Because roughly, I figured I could, by myself, I could plow and drill and harrow and seed. I could roughly do 20 acres a week.
I see.
Because when we were using the gang plows, if you plowed 5 acres a day with the gang plow, 2-bottom plow, that's pretty good going.
Yeah.
And until then, we were getting away with that. But I knew with the extra ground, you had to do it faster, so I got up to roughly 20 acres handling myself,
right.
I say.
Okay. All right, so in 1943, 44, then you are full-time on your farm. When did you buy the other quarter that you were renting from your dad?
About from the year he died. Yes.
Okay, so that was
He was
52 or 53.
Isabel and Dave were with him in the house there, and you're right, yeah, I learned about that from him. Yes, I've been drilling it all the time.
Right, okay.
And I said, well, I'll buy it. There's him, he wasn't worried that much. But he didn't want to keep on the extra income, so paying him rent,
right.
you might say.
Right.
So that's about the last business he did. So I went to town, Isabel and I went to town, went over to Jamerson's office, lawyer over the McLeod building. In January, I think it was cold, and I went up there, and Jameson was there, so the son looked after us. And it took me about 2 months to blink up the blinking title from me. I had stuff piled up his desk like this. He was Ken Jameson. He went to school with, when Ada went to high school, Ken was going there.
I see. Okay, so 1945, 45
There, for 3 years, I was going to go home back by myself. I had a lot of hay, so I was hauling hay away every day, and I was thinking I'd get some cattle. And I guess, no, I didn't get them right away then. Mother said, well, Dad and I will move over and live in the house with you instead of living here by ourselves. So they were over there roughly, I guess, so 46, right? They went out to Vancouver that winter,
Yeah.
and you came to be housekeeper.
Yeah.
In 1946.
She came on Christmas Day, no, week before Christmas, wasn't it? Week before Christmas. But I didn't hire her, you know. And when Mother and Dad left, Mother says, you've got to get a housekeeper. So I got a hold of a young Norwegian girl from Bentley. You know what Bentley is?
Yep.
And well, thought that'd work out all right. Yeah. Two little twin kids like this. And that's why she wouldn't go to work. And she was there about a week after I put an ad in the paper. That's how I got her. And what happened to dads. I didn't consider her. She had an answer. She wanted to work north of Edmonton. Yeah, north of Edmonton. And so I thought, well, no, I was fine and something. So it kind of fooled me because I'd got an ad from an English woman that we thought was okay. And I was thinking I'd answered hers. And went to the station. Here this girl with me with two kids and no English woman.
And no English?
Well, she was speaking English.
Oh, okay.
No problem there. And they had to get mixed up somehow. Anyway, I don't know. Anyway, she was there about 2 weeks, and here the phone rang one night. Her mother was sick down at Bentley, and would she come home? And she'd be there in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that was luck. And so I got busy and answered her ad. She was working in town there near the Catholic College.
Carry on.
This is personal stuff. I don't think it should be for posterity, Donald.
What's that?
I don't should be for posterity.
Well, we're just talking about you guys.
I can always wipe it out, can't I? Yes.
That's right, yeah.
We will dilute it.
Yeah.
Dilute is the word. Anyway, she came out and looked at the place, and one Sunday, my cousin Lud had come down and stayed with me overnight, and the folks weren't there. Took him back to town next morning. The old Dodge went killed her going up McDougal Hill. The transmission went on, and so I got it. I had to pull out, took it down to Dodge Garage anyway. Phoned George to come in and get me, because I had to pick her up and take her out to the farm.
Yeah.
So George drove us out and looked it over and said, well, that's it. So by the time I got the car fixed up the next week, I went and got her and John. And
So, Mom, where were you living at that time?
I was working for a guy named Watts.
Gray.
I see. Okay. So then you came to work on the just before Christmas, 1946.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
home. She wasn't there for Christmas Day. She went into her mother and was in looking after her Cole's house in town. And her and Jackie lived in there. Jackie was in.
Yeah.
And so she was in there over Christmas, I guess. 2 or 3 days. And finally I went in and picked them up and started housekeeping.
All right.
He was
She turned your
messy
quick.
beast.
He was what?
He was messy beast.
He was messy.
That's what Jackie called him, messy beast.
Oh, it's that Briggs.
Yeah.
No, he called me man.
Well, eventually, what he had to do when he was calling you Mister, why it was messy beast.
Why? I mean, I remember. I mean, Jackie. How come John was called Jackie?
Well, you see, he.
The family is Nanny and Uncle Paul all call him Jackie. He's a cute little kid, 4 years old. 3 years old. 4? 3. I don't.
So how long did it take to clean up after him?
Well, that's the day she come out. he had to go to the bathroom. And so the other girl had a pot in a chamber pot on his bed for two little kids. I said, oh, we'll go in there and so fixed him up. She thought that was a good deal.
Why, didn't have to go outside?
No.
I can remember that.
Yep. Fixed him up and take him down to the toilet.
Okay, so and as far as the farm goes in the winter of '46, like what did you have going on there? I mean, did you have beef cattle by then?
Yeah, I picked up. I bought well, the folks were there. I went down and bought 9 heifers and 2 cows. 9 heifers and 2 cows from Ellis. I had the milk cow there, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, and what else did you? Was that it for livestock, or were you by that time were you into the pigs and the chickens?
No, I hadn't. Yes, I guess we did have some chickens. Yes. Yeah. Well, so you had some chickens, so.
Who said you had to have chickens?
Mother said, there's some chickens around, so the chicken house is there, darn good chicken house, you know.
Yeah.
And so we had chickens. And yeah, I guess I had the chicks out. And, I got those in the spring, you know, that year.
So just backing up a little bit here, what did it cost you for the quarter section in 1942? And you bought it from Allen's, didn't you?
And Mrs. Allen, she had the mortgage, she had the title to the house, and he didn't. It was her father. Little story there. Her father was an illustrator for Punch magazine, which had been working for 100 years, but he's still going. He was an illustrator. He lived on one of the Jersey Islands there, Jersey. He went up to did his work there. They went up to London once a week. The publishers had laid out the paper for Punch magazine. And he was out once to visit her. No, I believe he was, yeah. Any more questions?
So how much did you pay for the quarter in 1942?
1942? 8,500 with the machinery around there and 1 horse.
So was that a good price for a quarter then?
Well, we previously bought Tim Allen had the 30 acres across the road there, that 3/4 field across there, and Dad paid him $50 an acre for it. And I don't think they viewed the price down any on it. They did the pricing on it, and I guess it was about the price that time.
So the $50 or the $8,000, whatever, that included the house and the chicken house and the buildings and stuff that were there.
Some furniture piece right there, yes. Yeah. That you roosted around for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is 8 kids too?
Yeah. Okay, well, here we are on day 2, and we're going to back up a little bit and talk about your mother's side of the family, the Sommers.
Yeah, my mother's family name was Sommers. Sommers. And her father was Ulrich Sommers. He was born in Bern, Switzerland, and came out to America when he was about 4 years old, I believe. And her mother's name was Elizabeth Rath, and she was born in Hillgrove, Ohio. And her family moved out to Nebraska, and her folks were married in Iowa City, Iowa, USA. I'll give you the names of the children, because there were 8 children. George Sommers was the oldest. Sarah Sommers, Mary Sommers, Emma Sommers, and she died when she was 3 years old. William Sommers, And he, after he was married, he lived the rest of his life in Oklahoma, on the border between Oklahoma and Texas. The John Summers, and the next oldest, he visits up here in Edmonton, and he was born in Red Oak, Iowa. And then Charles Summers, also Red Oak, Iowa. He spent most of his life working on railroad work. And then the youngest was Samuel Summers, the youngest, and he, in later years, he never married, and he worked in California for most of his life, and he visited up here once. The Summers family, her father was in the U.S. Army in the north, and he settled around in Iowa, and the farming. But after the Civil War, a few years later, he moved the whole family down by team and wagon and a covered wagon down to Alabama, where they stayed for over a year. Down there, they were living on or rented one of the original plantations with a large house, which was set off the ground like 2 or 3 feet, and a big hallway right through the middle, and the only heat in there was 2 fireplaces, which were equipped for cooking on, pots and handles and everything else. That was the only thing that they could cook with. And the help that came in to help her mother were Negro women, and they made use of that way. They baked bread and that sort of thing. This was a large family. I tried to figure out one day roughly how long it took for me to go down there, because roads would be minimal, and it was over 1,200 miles, so I figured they spent most of the summer traveling, because my mother, Mary and Will, about the next in line, they herded the small group of cattle along with them, because they pastured along the way. I still don't know how they managed, but they did it. Kind of unusual, but that was nothing in those days, because when my folks were living in Nebraska, every year for many years there were people traveling a covered wagon all the way from eastern states, Illinois, up to the western states, because the Indian Territory was opening up and the land was available, and down into Kansas. And they had a small grove of trees on their farm there where they lived in Nebraska. And my father said there was never a night passed really all summer long without to be somebody camping in that little grove of trees there. And believe it or not, it wasn't all successful, the trek wasn't, because in the next 2 or 3 years, some of these same covered wagons were striking back to the original location, probably because their new location was no good, or what happened, they couldn't make that life there.
So why did the Summers go down to Alabama?
We don't know whether he didn't own a farm where he was. They raised cotton down there, and that's rough work. You walk along the cotton rows dragging a lump sack and picking the cotton out to put in the sack. They probably hired some of the Negro people, but they had to do it themselves.
So they were down there for a year. Did they go
back?
Over
a year anyway, probably in 2 years, and they trekked back. There was never any word they're coming back, when or anything. It never.
So where'd they go back to?
Iowa. Yeah, that's where they spent most of the time, and that's where the family was raised. Really, they had 2 daughters and 2 sons, and in later years, the one son, Wilbur, came up to Alberta visiting with a nephew of his. He'd been through the World War I.
Okay, Wilbur was whose son? He was your uncle?
No, Wilbur was my Sarah Summers family. She married a Thomas. Married Thomas.
Okay, so how did your mom, Mary Summers, get to Nebraska then to meet your dad? Like, where did she come from to meet him?
I bet she's just looking for work. I
I
don't
see.
know any other reason.
So at that time, her family, her mom and dad were still in Iowa?
Yeah, I would say yes. Yeah.
Okay.
They had a farm there. And when she was down, apparently her and my father visited there in 1920, be 1928, yes. And she visited the old original farm.
Right.
And had her picture taken there.
Yeah.
It wasn't a very good farm, I think, because it looked beautiful where she was sitting there, but apparently the tall weeds looked like good flowers.
All right.
And so most of her family, Charles and John, that stayed in Iowa.
Yeah. Okay. Did any other of your mom's folks come up here other than just to visit, or did they all stay in the States?
All stayed in the States. Brother John, his wife came up, and Sam arrived one time from California, and no communication for many years, but she finally contacted him. He wrote, I believe, and after that he came up next year or two. John and Wilbur, I say Wilbur Thomas Lansing here, and he spent most of his life working for the post office on the railway postal cars,
I see.
rather than two cities.
So, do you still keep in contact with any of your mom's relatives at all, or?
No, we haven't. The ones we did know of, in California, have passed on, and the others never came up, and so after my mother died, there was no communication with them, really, because people don't always write letters, and you don't keep writing, so.
Right.
I think there was some connection between John Summers' daughter and some. My brother George visited down there, so there was some communication. He visited Trinity families down there, and some of the old friends that lived down into Kansas there.
I see.
And he also visited Will Summers in Oklahoma. We were amused over their accent down there and the way they lived and so on. Things improved in his old age while he was living in a air-conditioned house anyway, and because it is hot in Oklahoma.
Right. All right. Anything else about your mom?
I haven't told anything about the family visiting down there in 1913.
No. Well, we just mentioned it. That's all. Go ahead.
Yeah. In 1913, my father had sold the farm to a real estate company for $50,000. And to keep a bargain, why he moved off the place for 3 years and lived about 2 miles from there, near the city. And in 1913, he took the whole family back down to Iowa, Nebraska, and Oklahoma to visit their relatives and friends. And that took practically 2 months, I would think, during the summer holidays. Went down by Minneapolis and to Iowa first, and coming back, they went down as far as Dallas, Texas, where where George Summers was living. He was a crippled man with arthritis at that time, and then to Will Summers in Oklahoma, and came back up through to Alvo. I'm thinking Colorado. I'm not positive.
Is that spelled A-L-V-O?
Yeah. And there's where my father's oldest brother, Herb, was at the renting land there, at irrigated farm. And they were there a few years before they later moved up to Alberta. What else can I tell you about the...
How did you left by train from Edmonton?
We left by train. It was entirely train travel. I would say no suitcases, small sacks or two, and a large trunk, which carried the clothes for all of us, family, a family of 7 people, and so there's a lot of washing, dunning wherever they visited. But those days, the families that visited in Nebraska, where they were married, were probably Lees and Thomas, Lees, Thomas, yeah, and Harrison, and I guess that'd be about it. But and she was a very good friend. I visited people with the name of Armstrong, who was a very good friend of her mother. So they must have lived in, well, that'd be back in Iowa, I guess. Ms. Armstrong. She corresponded with her throughout the years.
So you went by train all the way down through. So what, you have a sleeper car or just day cars or?
Don't ask me. I was 4 years old. I just went to sleep where I was sitting probably. No, I'm sure there was no dining cars and no sleeping accommodation. Well, let's put it this way: the way the trains were equipped, maybe some yet, you pull the seats back over and you had room to sit or sleep. So that's where you could lie down. Yes.
Okay. So down to Dallas, up to Colorado. How did you get back into Alberta on the train?
It came through some mountain passes there, and I recall the conductor going along the train and switching on the overhead lights with a rod, and they go through these fairly long tunnels.
I see.
And that was quite an operation, and scary. And I think I don't know, it came back up to Calgary, I believe.
Right.
Yeah, it would be.
Right.
I know we were in Denver.
I remember you saying 2 years back that you used to drive your mom and dad on holidays sometime. You went to Banff and
yes,
BC
we took a trip to Banff and by car, and they also in 1925, my mother and dad in January took a trip out to Vancouver and down to Seattle, Washington, where he had a nephew.
Did they drive or
that summer? No, that was by train.
Yeah.
By train.
Yeah.
It took about 3 days by train then, and it was slow. And they stayed with some of our friends in Vancouver. So they were gone must have been gone a month at least, because I was going to high school and boarding in Edmonton, and George and Ralph were ranching on the farm, looking after dairy cattle and hauling grain, of which we have pictures of.
Yeah.
It was quite a flurrying grain price. Grain wheat went up to $1.85 a bushel for a while in the winter, which wasn't uncommon for fluctuation.
Yeah.
And they got busy and hauled grain.
Yeah. So when you were in high school, you went to Strathcona?
Strathcona High School for 2 years,
and you boarded in town.
I boarded in town, I would say, during the winter months, and the rest of the time I was taken in. It was bad roads, or I rode my bicycle in.
How long did it take you to ride from what's now 50th Street into Strathcona High?
I think we usually figured on roughly an hour, leave after 8 o'clock. And I might say I was usually one or two of the first ones to school.
Yeah.
But that was common practice. We usually got to school on time. But they're there by riding a bike by leave about 5 after 8 usually.
Right.
And it was quite a session being away from home, in grade 11 especially. But I guess
Why is grade 11 memorable?
well, it's a strange large school. I've
Oh,
been to grade 9 and 10 in a local school where they taught high school. There's about 15 kids in our room, and the younger grades were in another school right beside. And they moved into school where there was rooms on 3 floors, and at noon hour the whole school was filled with kids around and so on. Well, I got along fine. I enjoyed the recreation period, I guess twice a week, because we played soccer usually, And I was a good soccer player, so I made it all right.
Right. Okay, should we come back up to where we left off last night?
Yes, what we were doing last
Okay,
night.
we were up to 1946, and you and Mom getting married, or just about getting ready to get married in 1946. So let's take her from there.
I think I did say that she came out as housekeeper for me.
Yeah.
And, well, we seemed to be attracted to each other, and we decided to get married on the 18th of May when we had a little free time from the landwork because the crop, most of the crop was in, and everything was in order for a day. We didn't go on any honeymoon. I believe I mentioned that I didn't tell anything about the day we were married too much because I think I told you last night, we married at Norwood Church Manse, and after that we went down into the center of town, had a noon lunch at, no, we didn't have noon lunch that day, no. We went to a picture show and had our pictures taken in another studio, and then we went back to my folks' place on the farm, and in the evening our relatives came in, Mary's relatives, her mother and her uncle came out from Edmonton, and Roy Trimble there, it's my sister and brother-in-law, Ralph and Mary, and George and Ethel, the two brothers and their wives, and we had a pleasant evening lunch, and then we left for home. But in the meantime, somebody got busy with our car, some cheese on the radiator, and about halfway home, things began to smell rather bad in the engine, so we had to stop and clean things up a bit, and then proceed on back to the farm.
That was all they did, little cheese in the radiator?
On the engine, so I don't remember it. Anyway, they'd also been in the house and disassembled the bed and a few other things to make life interesting for us. But we survived. And John, he was 4 years old, so he went and stayed the day with the neighbors of Mr. and Mrs. Bowie. And he didn't come back the next morning, and we heard him coming back in the laneway. It was very close there, and talking to the dog, I think it was, chattering away. So we started our life on the farm, and we were there until, 1975, I guess, where I moved here to Sherwood Park.
Yeah, it'd be somewhere around there.
Just about 75.
Yeah. Yeah. So in 1947, then you were starting to get into the Aberdeen Angus.
No, I bought the Aberdeen Angus in 1943. A small herd of 9 heifers and 2 cows, which were in calf.
And you got those from Ellis?
From Charlesville, Sandy Lake, and who we knew reasonably well, and knew the whole family, and still do. And so we continued with the raising Angus for 25 years. In fact, at the end of 25 years, they issued certificates for people who had been in the Angus business for 25 years, and we still have that. We kept them a few years longer, but we tried to ease out of them because I started working for the Strathcona County as agricultural field man, so I couldn't work full time. And then we rented the land, most of the land, not all the time, all the crop land to my brother George and his son Aaron. And they farmed that for the next 10, 12 years or longer.
Yeah. So back to the late 40s, you were building up the Angus herd, and as far as the farm goes, the farm stayed steady right from sort of start to finish as far as the two quarters go, right? And that was all this farm.
Yes, we had the one quarter where the buildings are, and then the quarter, roughly a quarter across the road with the end. We also pasture over there. We built 2 dugouts over there, and so we could pasture cattle over there all summer.
Okay. Talk a little bit about the late 40s and early 50s. I mean, there was 3 kids that came along in a big hurry there, and there must have been a big change in your life.
Well, I was a busier, that's all. No, so we had John, and who we definitely adopted. He's always a part of my family. And then we had Donald in 1947, Bert in 48, and Charles in 49. And
No crop failure there.
and they're all healthy children, with, by and large, not many mishaps here and there. I think John had a broken arm one time. He tried to crank the tractor because the battery wasn't working that day, and it backfired and it cracked his arm, which held him up a little bit. And Charles had a mishap or two, appendix operation in a hurry, and I don't know what happened to Donald. I guess he just grew up. Now I went to East Edmonton School, which is a mile and a half from there, where I had gone all my life. And a little change in the school, and not very much. And they didn't finish the schooling there. The bus system came into place, so they went to school. The 3 of them at King George Park was roughly on the 73rd Street and 84th Avenue back in there. And they also, after that, entered a school then, Salisbury High School. They all graduated from there. Hey, what do you need to know about that?
Well, let's get back to the earlier, late 40s and early 50s again. As far as the Briggs, rest of the Briggs, everybody was just sort of keeping on doing their thing. I mean,
well, you see, we in our district there, my brothers and brother-in-law were all farming there, and we worked together on many things, thrashing and later some combining and putting up hay. We all 3 or 4 of us had considerable amount of land in grass and a lot of hay to put up. And to take care of that, we couldn't buy the equipment during the war, so I manufactured the hay sweeps and a stacker, overshot stacker, which helped to take care and good shape all the hay that we put up. And that continued that way for some time until tractor-operated sweeps came into, you could buy them, very good. And
so the stacker and the sweeps is what you designed?
Yeah.
And you guys built?
Yeah.
Is that the 2 sweeps that I remember and the stacker?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We couldn't buy, the only thing we could buy from a nimbling shop was about 3 steel-pointed teeth. So we got the rest of the cast teeth made for the points so they wouldn't wear out.
So when did you build those?
Well, I don't know.
That was during the Second World War sometime, obviously.
Yes, it was, yeah. Probably about 5 or 6. Well,
I don't know whether it shows up very good, but that
is the overshot stacker, and 1 man on the stack, but when we are working faster, with 2 sweeps and a lot of hay, we usually got 2 men on the stack, because it would do a better job and keep things moving. And you have another one of the sweeps there, I believe.
Yeah.
And here's one of the...
Probably doesn't show up quite as well.
This is not our stacking outfit.
That's not here.
This stack was taken at a neighbor's place in 1918.
Oh, okay.
And the design hadn't changed in the years, except that this outfit was bought from an implement store. One sweep was second hand, and the other one was a new sweep. And that was a neighbor, Harry Fulton, and we worked together putting out hay.
Okay, let's just talk a little bit about the horses and plowing matches and stuff like that. There's a picture of you on the... Slow that down a little bit.
Ride team with the tandem on a two-bottom John Deere plow. In our district in 1930, about 31, we had an South Edmonton Agricultural Society, and as part of a program why we started to encourage people to get together and do better jobs on plowing, we instigated a plowing match. And these operated for 13 years without a stop. At that time, while the war was on, we couldn't get the gasoline, and manpower was very shy. There was enough people that could come to the plowing match. They were very successful. It was like a big open-air picnic for people coming to watch the plowing matches. And anywhere from, let's say, 16 or 18 outfits of tractor-driven or horse-pulled, from 2 horses, 4 horses, 6 horses, up to 8 horses that would turn out to plow their lands that they match. And,
so what did, like you competed in that, how many horses were in your team?
I had 5 horses that time. And at home, quite often we were pulling packers behind to conserve moisture. We would use 6.
So what, I mean, you won a couple medals and stuff like that in this plowing match.
Yes, I was...
what does it take to be a good plower?
Well, a lot of practice and a certain amount of skill, because you're driving 5 horses with the 4 lines, and to drive a plow and stand up for your first strikeout was the main thing for the whole day, to get that so straight. And to drive it for approximately, most of the lines would be around 400 to 600 yards long, and required some skill. But your horses are so well trained that they responded to everything that you did with them and didn't need much guidance. At the same time, you had to take that down, see your plows in the ground, and not skipping over top. So I would say a little bit of luck with the knowledge and management, why you come out on top. And it gradually grew into popularity, and 1 or 2 years we get up to 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 people turn out from all around the country to watch the match and to gossip with their neighbors who they hadn't seen from last year. So it was very successful.
Okay. As long as I can remember, you and Mom have always been involved in the community heavily, back to the late 40s and early 50s now. I mean, there's the Agricultural Society, whatever you were in. What else were you involved in as far as the community goes?
Well, we formed an Agricultural Society, as I say, for the plowing matches. And that, so we finished off. We operated at the same time a portable grain cleaner to help the farmers clean up the land and grow better crops. It was very good. And then the war came and that finished off. But in 1952, well after the war, things were settling down. We formed a new agricultural society, which took people in, interested people in from all around the city of Edmonton. And we also started plowing matches there. And they were a little different, but because people still had good attendance. Some people would drive their hauler tractors for 20 miles to get there, and they were a well-organized event.
So you formed a new agricultural society. I mean, you and who else instigated this thing? I mean, who else?
Well, I can name a few. I know the Doug Shaw from Rapid Hills area, and Jack Duggan from just south of the city, myself and Jeff Ellett and and then Job, and on the north side of the city would be out the Horse Hills Way by Jim Bentley and the manager the Horse Hills, no, of the government farm at Oliver. They helped out, and Tuesday more from there. Henry Spears from North Edmonton, and I mentioned Jim Bentley, and then we held matches even out St. Albert Way, and Curriol, the name of he wasn't a French Canadian, he was a Frenchman. He was not a French Canadian. Very nice man. He helped out there, and all that district. Then we moved out to the Spruce Grove with Ziegler out there and Harold McLaughlin, Alan Shenfield, and they all moved in and helped in their own district there and put on a very good match. And then the first one was held in the east part of our own south side, where we used to hold those horse matches over at the Ron Morris's right next to the Saskatchewan River there.
So what were the horse matches?
These very few horses turned out. These is practically all tractors in these matches, but there were a few horses turned out too.
So when was the last time you competed with the horses then? Was that during the war or after the war?
No, before the war.
Before the war.
Yeah, they sold that in the Agricultural Society. So that put in there. And when they had this enlarged Agricultural Society, we also had various programs which continued throughout the year. And the one year we organized for public speaking, trained everybody in public speaking. We called it a spokes club. And about 12 or 14 farmers turned up for that, and we met in the city in the South Edmonton, and we had some lively sessions, amusing sessions, but we all, you might say, graduated in a fashion with the ability to stand up and express your thoughts in front of people. And then we usually had a one or two large dances. There was always a get-together in the Edmonton after the pony matches, a banquet and dance. There was always a large turnout for that, as well as the annual meeting, always a banquet and dance held in one of the large hotels. And the one year, as I remember, it was a bit unusual, they put on a square dance competition. And that was held in the large hall, the Orange Hall over, Oddfellows Hall there, in the Masonic Temple, right. And I think the winning group were a French Canadian. They came from a little district of the Laurier on the north side of the river, just across from Fort Saskatchewan. And they didn't, nowadays they do dress costume, and I believe the people from the Laurier were kind of dressed a little bit in square dance costume, but I wouldn't bank too much on that, because I wasn't in the square dance. We picked up in the square dance, but they got a cup for that. So they were quite happy about that. And let's see again.
What else? Were there any other organizations that you belonged to or participated in?
Yes, that was throughout the years. You might as well start with the school board. My brother Ralph had been on the local school board for many years, and when he retired from that, and I had children going to school, so I was on the local school board, which wasn't very busy because the county had been formed, and most of the schools were under the tenure of under management of a different board. Was underneath the board of councils, you might say, Board of Education.
That was a municipal district, wasn't it? It wasn't the county.
Just about that time, it changed from municipal district to county. They had a school board chairman, and about 5 trustees, 4 or 5 trustees, and that was over the whole area, the whole municipal district. And Slave started at that time to do away with the smaller schools and bus the kids into the larger centers, Fort Saskatchewan and say Ardrossan, and
So what were, like, I remember the whist drives and the dances and that sort of thing at the community, East Edmonton Community Hall.
well, we had a community hall there in Edmonton about 1925.
At East Edmonton.
East Edmonton
Right.
School District, yeah.
When did you guys build it?
That'd be about 1924, I think, between 24 and 25, all by volunteer labor. And that hall carried along for 50 years, believe it or not. There was various changes and some years they had a little trouble getting people to sit on the board of control, and that worked into, we had in the district, we had a willing workers club there, for the ladies who got together for social events and raised a little bit of money for various things. Each meeting they had, they charged 10 cents a piece for the cup of tea and lunch they had, and if there's any of the girls in the district getting married, they always put on an afternoon for them where they served tea and gave them their wedding gifts. And that carried along for I would say, roughly the 50 years without fail. And by that time, the district was being practically no people living in the residence of the district to keep the hall going. So they moved the hall out to a subdivision in Salisbury district, near the Salisbury High School, in the Hurstwood subdivision, where it was active for probably another 7 or 8 years, and then finally disbanded. And then I might as well mention right here, the city took over that part of the area.
Took over where the old school in the hall were? Yeah.
As far west, far east as Highway 14 running south, and they tore the hall down because they didn't want to operate it, and it was since it was on public land, why they owned the land. It was park land, which had been owned by the county.
So that's not very long ago they tore that down there.
Probably about say 53 years ago. It'd be.
I see. Okay, so back to when it was running full blast there. I mean, like say the whist drives and the dances and stuff we used to go to. Like there were dances Saturday nights or whatever it was.
Usually Friday nights. They could dance till after 12 o'clock. They were still through the years not church people who didn't believe in dancing on Sunday morning, and so they always held all their social events on Friday night when the school was out and so on. And that the willing workers did that and carried along the social events there, but there was always a board of control to look after the money end of it and pay for that. But the cleanup of the hall was done later by the board of control because they were in charge, and the hall was finally completely equipped with the gas and power and water, and plus toilets, believe it or not. Now, to get back to you were saying other organizations that I've been interested in. In 1933, possibly, a large part of the county government had owned the telephone system. They were broke and couldn't handle it, so they sold the rights to run the telephone lines to the newly formed South Edmonton Mutual Telephone Company. And that was formed, and continued to grow for the next, 30 or 40 years, and it grew into the largest mutual telephone company in Alberta. We had 500 shareholders. At that period, why we had to wrap it up because the television Hamlet of Sherwood Park was forming, and there was too many phone installations, and so the Alberta government telephones took over, and we were able to drop the mutual telephone completely. I might say that throughout the years the fee we charged was $30 a year, and when we finished up by, no, the shares were $30. I'm sorry, shares $30. We finished up, we had enough money, wasn't big, but I think each shareholder got $80 for the share. And in the operation of the telephone company, we had a board of about 6 people who were drawn from every district around where the telephones were, and we met. We had a manager, and we had a lineman.
Who's the lineman?
The lineman was Hugh Collins. We changed throughout the years because that was a long time. The last one for probably the last 20 years was Hugh Collins, and he had hired 2 men to help him. And we had a manager also, and we were, the board was more or less still volunteer. I believe we got mileage for traveling at the meetings, and I guess once a year, at our annual meeting, I think the board paid for our lunch. And it carried along, well operated by the manager, and he had his work was under the rulings and the supervision of the group, and it was successful. So that was the other organization I got interested in, and I think I can safely say that we formed a homeless school association in our East Edmonton School District for better liaison between the teachers and the parents. And I might say that my wife, Mary, was the prime instigator in getting that going. She knew a man by Bruce, but he was the head organization of the province of homeless school associations, which were very active at that time, very active. And so he came out to Quincy Hall with our invitation. We collected enough people there, and he gave us full information on the setup of the homeless schools, and so since I was prime instigator, at the second meeting, I was put in as chairman of the local homeless school, and we enlarged that homeless school into 3 other districts: Colchester and Salisbury, and we went out there and helped them organize meetings there, which was successful to a fair amount. And it was later on of the same organization, the large high school, the Salisbury High, was formed, and we moved into high school. And it was a good communication between the high school teachers and the people there. Otherwise, they would never have met the teachers, and the teachers wouldn't have known the parents, because there always has been a lapse in there somewhere, but we corrected that to some extent. So I was chairman there for 2 or 3 years of that, and finally I managed to squeeze out of that and get somebody else working on it, which was necessary.
Yeah.
No, we'll get the horseman on the farm, and shorter, without getting into detail. I got it on?
Yeah, it's on.
Oh,
Have a roll at it.
one thing we shouldn't miss, we'll go back into our own farm, Beckwith Farm. I started selling bulls and showing bulls at the spring show in Edmonton, bull sale in Calgary, before the children were getting big enough to help out. And so
When did you start going to the bull sales?
well, actually about 2 years after I got the cattle, I had a couple of young bulls, and I saw them sell. They were too young to make a good sale, but it gave me a little bit of action and so on, and how to handle them for a sale, because I'd never had bulls before for sale. We started the Angus herd about in 42 in a small group, and it took several years to get into production, because we seem to always have bull calves instead of heifer calves, and that doesn't increase your basic herd very fast. But we gradually got there, and I think the only cow I bought in herd after that was a registered cow from the University of Alberta. It was rather wild and trying to chase any women or kids who walked around. There was a skirt on there. She didn't like anything skirts coming around.
What was her name?
University cow.
University cow, yeah, that's exactly, yeah, but I remember, anyway.
I could look it up and stay out of the book.
Yeah, so I remember University cow.
We, to start with, my first one, I took over 2 young bulls over the spring bull sale in Edmonton, and it wasn't a huge success because young bulls are a year old, are kind of a dime a dozen. So, but it was a start anyway, and an initiation for me in the sales. So from then on, I think possibly we always had bulls over at the bull sale, and in later years, I took the 3 bulls down to Calgary bull sale, which was the largest bull sale in the province, and a different story entirely. But I did well with them down there, and again, I learned a lot. So we then on top of that, we one summer they had always had.
How long? Like you started with the 7. By the early 50s, how many head of cattle did you have?
Oh, probably 45. We got up as high as about almost 70 for 1 year, and that was a little too much. And you trimming down.
But that was in the late 50s, early 60s, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was about 55, 56 in there. Yeah.
Okay.
I remember that we were always wanting to have 22 to 25 cows.
Yeah, that's what hung around about 20 cows most of the time. And the exhibition board called up and wanted to know if I would fill in with a group of Angus and the Angus classes to help the show up because didn't have enough entries. So they weren't fitted for show, which you have to do. Get some of the grass out of them for one thing, but we managed a good group of calves and a bull or two, and for enough the classes. And I think the prize list was attractive, and I think we probably got almost $500, which was very acceptable at that time. And we found out how we fit cattle for show. We learned a lot there for sure. And it wasn't that far over there, so we did all right. It was in the middle of haying season too. And so then on, as the
Well, let's back up a little bit again. What the farm was like in late 40s and early 50s, as far as the.
Okay, early 50s, like in I think it was 1951, the small tractor was purchased, and it was changed over time from the threshing machine to the combine right in those years. Can you elaborate?
Yes. Previously, we'd all horse-drawn mower and horse-drawn rakes, which there's nothing wrong with that. But as we were getting more hay needed and more hay down to pick up, we bought the small hand tractor, the 8-foot mower on. Yes, it must have been 8.
No, I don't think it was 8. I think it was 5 or 6.
7.
Oh no.
Uncle Ralph had a 6-foot horse-drawn mower,
Okay.
and this was the first 7-foot
Okay.
tractor-driven.
No, I had the 7-foot mower. I bought it from George.
Okay.
That's correct there. And that helped a lot for speeding up. It was a good mower. And so I got the tractor-driven mower, which is really fast and no problem getting the hay down. And we continued to use horses on the side-loading rake because it was very practical and it was driven fast enough with horses. And so the haying business gradually got motorized. We had the stacker and sweeps to stack the hay. There was a gradual change from that to a farmhand tractor. Ralph had a farmhand, and we worked in together on the haying. And that moved the hay into the stacker, which we still use, the old wooden overshot stacker which I'd made. And that speeded everything up.
Well, we We didn't use the stacker after the farmhand came along, did we? Once the farmhand was there, the farmhand loaded it up.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yep. No, so we got the farmhand by it, boosted the hay up, and that was the end of the. But I guess we used the overshot stackers. It must have been for 8 or 10 years, possibly, and they were scrapped.
Yeah.
And so we used the farmhand for stacking the hay, and in the meantime we had acquired a combine on shares, swather and combine.
That would be about 1953 then, Dad? Right around there, I believe.
53, yes, it was, yes, it must have been. And then we, to get rid of to make use of straw, we had to save a lot of straw. We used the farmhand to stack the straw with. I mean, it was raked. Sometimes raked, it was a light swath, otherwise it was enough swath there. We just went ahead and raked it up right away, or swept it up right away with the tractor into big stacks. And then finally we bought our own combine and had the swather, and Ralph bought his own combine. And we continued to do the work pretty well completely ourselves. So you boys did help with the combining over at Ralph's for 2 or 3 years. One day we went over there with all 3 of us and worked all day and half the night and got it done.
More than once. Okay, in still in the early 50s there, what supported the farm? Like, where was the income coming from the farm?
Well, it was a small income, but we had everything. We raised hogs all the time. There was few going to market all the time, as well as butchering a few for our own use. We had a good chicken house there, which we continued to use, and we sold eggs year round. A lot of eggs were sold at the door, and I made a little more money on that. Otherwise, every week by the surplus eggs went into the Edmund produce on the south side. And so it was usually an egg chick to pick up. And it all added up to keep things moving.
Regular cream check, small as it might be, went into, what was it was Melamore ice cream.
East Edmonton Creamery.
Yeah, and I think your mother arranged a subsistence allowance for the children.
Shopping was done for groceries where? The Safeway store on White Avenue?
Right, for a long time.
Well, Bateman's.
Huh?
Wasn't it Bateman's?
No.
Or what's Elizabeth down there in 99th and White Avenue? I remember that's where we did the shopping.
99th and White Avenue.
Yeah. Right across the street from the drugstore there. Where they sold drugs. Thompson's? Whatever.
Oh, that's on 91st Street. 91st Street,
yeah.
White Avenue, yeah. That was Thompson's grocery.
Thompson's.
One of the first pick up yourself groceries in the south side, really.
Okay, and then where would clothing be bought for the family? Did we use the Army and Navy a bit at that time?
Not that time, I don't think. They weren't on the south side to start with. We went there a few times and got, I think the cloth store over at Delwood started
I remember the Army and Navy a long time before that. I mean, I remember the Army and Navy ever since.
Well, you must have bought something there, yeah. We let you go barefoot a little bit, but not much.
So we had beef and hogs as well. I mean, were they a contributor to the income of the farm?
Yes, we always butchered the beef pretty well.
But like as far as farm income, like making a living off of the farm. I mean, there was eggs and cream. You got to make a living off of more than that.
And we sold a few steers, yes. Yeah, there was always a few steers sold, fattened up and sold.
Well, how many sows did you keep, Dad?
Never, I think I was up to about 5, maybe.
Okay.
5. Had the colony house, and we kept the colony house all packed around with straw all winter long, so it was a cheap operation. And then I got a electrically driven grinder and roller to grind it for the hogs, and we rolled grain for the cattle. And it got elevated up, so it was almost easy to operate. You pull the slide and go away and leave it for an hour to grind your grain up, which was, well, it was a fairly satisfactory deal. A little bit dusty sometimes, but nobody has asthma.
Yeah.
Heck.